considering the challenges in the Indian Ocean, there are countries from the Arabian Sea to the Bay of Bengal that act in a way that hits India's interest. Countries like Pakistan have long been antagonistic, while the Maldives and Sri Lanka pose uncertainty. Above all, there is a country that continuously increases its ties with China, thereby compromising India's security. India's eastern neighbor, Myanmar, is in talks regarding new development on Coco Island. Namaste and welcome to TFIPost. I'm your host Polish Gupta. Let's begin. In the satellite images captured by Maxar Technologies in January, the Great Coco Islands are found to be militarized. The image clearly shows two freshly built hangars at the center with a pier suspended to be used for naval purposes. In the north, a few buildings are also visible. A decade earlier, the length of the runway was supposed to be 1300 meters, which has now been stretched to 2300 meters. It is believed that Tatmadaw, the military of Myanmar, also called the Myanmar Junta, is preparing the island for its covert maritime operations. But Myanmar's growing dependence on China post-coup d'etat indicated that China too is involved in the military activities on the island. A three-dimensional view of the island's infrastructure reveals that there are as many as 200 buildings. It is anticipated that they are occupied by the military personnel who live there with their families. And now India has started taking measures to hit China hard. The government has deployed deterrence capabilities in island territories of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, while the national security planners and armed forces are tight-lipped about the deterrence capabilities with the Tri-Service Command at Andaman Nicobar. India is monitoring the Chinese-aided activity in the nearby Coco Islands of Myanmar at an Realm National Park in Cambodia near a naval base in Sihanoukville province. The news of Chinese presence on Coco Island is not new. Unfolding the historical incidences, it became clear that Coco Island has been long under the Chinese eye. But to get there, China needed good relations with Myanmar. While the relationship between China and Myanmar have largely been strong, Myanmar sharing border with both India and China is crucial for both countries' security. Amid the unstable political situations, the country has nothing rich to offer for its neighbor except its abundant natural resources, and that is the biggest hunger for China. But this has also some negative implications for the domestic difference in preferences. Natural resource extraction, infrastructure investment, trade, and even drug and human trafficking are mostly carried out by Yunnan provincial authorities, a border state of China. But Beijing's interests are broader. Actually, Myanmar is the land bridge for China to the Indo-Pacific, and hence more crucial for Chinese geopolitics and India's stake in the Indian Ocean. And that is why Coco Island is exploited by China. It was in 1992 when it was claimed that China had established a SIGINT intelligence gathering station. SIGINT stands for Signal Intelligence, which works by intercepting signals, whether between people or just electronic ones, that are often not used in communication. It was perceived that SIGINT was established to monitor Indian naval activities in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Apart from naval espionage, the station also acted as a center for keeping an eye on the eastern Indian Ocean holistically. Prime among them was the trade between the Bay of Bengal and Malacca Straits. Additionally, the station also monitors the activities of the launch sites of ISRO at Sriharikota and DRDO at Chandipur. In 2008, it was reported that China had future plans to establish a maritime base on Little Coco Island. However, the Chinese presence has always been suspicious. It was never fully evident whether the Chinese had occupied the island or not. In 1998, the United States clarified that it had not detected any Chinese strategic presence or activity in Myanmar. Till 2014, there was a complete denial of any Chinese presence on the island by India. However, in 2014, then Air Marshal P.K. Roy, Commander-in-Chief of the Andaman and Nicobar Command, stated that Chinese were building a runway on the island. However, he also stated that there was nothing alarming as there was no report of Chinese presence per se. Same year, a paper from the Manohar Parrikar Institute of Defence Studies and Analysis noted that there have been reports of Chinese-built SIGINT listening stations in the Andaman Sea and at least at Mengong, Hengi, Zadatki, and the Coco Islands in Myanmar. Chinese technicians and instructors have worked on radar installations in naval bases and facilities near Yangon, Molme, and Margui. It also stated that the Indian Coast Guard had intercepted fishing trawlers flying Myanmar flag off the Andaman Islands. On inspection, all the crew turned out to be Chinese nationals on expeditions with radio and depth sounding equipment for submarine usage. Until now, there was no objective proof, but now that the satellite images are public, it is evident that Chinese have exploited the military regime in Myanmar to enter the Indian Ocean. The military presence at Coco Island raises eyebrows as it is in close proximity to the Tri-Command at Andaman and Nicobar Island. In Myanmar, the military coup separated the country from the rest of the world. The curbing of democracy created resentment in the larger world, and thus many bilateral relations with Myanmar deteriorated. This vacuum was quickly sensed by China, and so it started to strengthen relations with Myanmar. Since the coup, China has emerged as a major partner for Myanmar with a vested interest in exploiting the Burmese resources and land bridge to the Indian Ocean. However, it must be noted that China looking to dominate the Indian Ocean is a far-fetched notion. Indian influence in the region is unparalleled as it has direct access and has a peaceful and humanitarian worldview. However, it cannot be denied that China wants to have a greater influence in the region. This was evident in the Maldives earlier, and now it is more evident in Myanmar now. On the basis of historical trends, it can be said that India has always handled Myanmar with caution because of its proximity to China, as it was clearly shown by India's stance on the coup. But this time, it is a direct threat to India's security, and India's quick action shows that the country is ready to deal with any type of eventuality.